Welcome to This Gal Travels podcast,
Mm-hmm.
the show that helps you travel more, travel easier, and travel better. I'm Trina, and today I'm talking about mosquitoes and what really works to prevent bites and what doesn't. My best pro traveler tip is at the end of the show, so make sure you listen all the way through. You might notice something a little different today. Real Trina has a cold, and her voice is not up to doing a podcast, so she's enlisted me, her AI clone, to do the podcast for her. Don't worry, everything should be back to normal next week, but Trina would love to hear your feedback on her AI presence. Okay, let's talk mosquitoes. We all know they're more than just annoying. They can carry diseases too. Malaria, dengue fever, Zika virus, yellow fever. It's like a mosquito hit list. So it's not just about avoiding itchy bites. It's about staying healthy when you travel. Even if you're not in an area where these diseases are a problem, the more you can avoid bites, the more comfortable you'll be. Some quick mosquito facts you should know. Most mosquito biting activity takes place from 2 hours before sunset until sunrise. They're especially active around dusk and dawn. Only female mosquitoes bite humans. Bats, birds, lizards, frogs, and dragonflies all eat mosquitoes. So consider yourself lucky if you have these critters in or around your hotel room. Preventing bites is the best way to avoid the diseases that mosquitoes carry. Of course, there's what's said about preventing mosquito bites and what actually works. Let's take a look at the recommended prevention measures. First up, wear long sleeves, pants, and socks to prevent mosquito bites. This mostly works, but if you're in a hot climate, even in lightweight fabrics, this might not be the most comfortable thing. Also, the clothes need to be loose-fitting because mosquitoes can bite through fabric. Still, this is effective if you can find clothes you're comfortable in. Next, let's talk about mosquito repellent. DEET is a strong chemical that you don't want more exposure to than necessary. However, it does work. From my experience, DEET is good at sticking around longer than other options, but this is the only advantage I've found, and I don't think it's worth the trade-off for putting such harsh chemicals on my skin. But natural non-chemical solutions work perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And this is definitely what I recommend. While I do suggest bringing some with you, don't hesitate to buy mosquito repellent in whatever destination you're visiting. If locals are using it, it works. Depending on where you are, you can almost always find some at a pharmacy. If there are multiple choices, ask which one is best. All you have to do with repellent is make yourself stinky to the mosquito. The problem is that any repellent comes off with sweat or just rubbing off.
So
Definitely carry it with you. In a place that has mosquitoes, no one will flinch if sitting around after dinner you break out the repellent to reapply. By the way, if you're finding this podcast helpful and want more travel advice and strategies from a travel expert, be sure to subscribe. And now, the myth of mosquito nets. These are one of those things that, if deployed perfectly, work just fine. However, perfect deployment is nearly impossible. First, if you bring your own net, the chances of having the situation you need to hang it are very slim. You can't just put hooks or sticky stuff on the wall in the hotel, and finding things to tie it to that are the right distance apart is unlikely. If there's a circular one already hanging over the bed in the hotel room, it's usually more of a dust collector than anything else, and the chances of it having holes in it, if you are brave enough to unfurl it, is extremely high. The one kind that usually works pretty well is the one that fits over a 4-poster bed and are provided by the hotel. Most hotels that provide this really mean for the mosquito net to protect you. Just remember that if you get up in the middle of the night, for anything that you tuck it back in upon returning to bed. A note about hotel rooms: even if it's hot, make sure your screens, if you have them, don't have holes. Otherwise, run the fan and keep the windows closed. Also, if there are mosquitoes in the room you're sleeping in, apply natural mosquito repellent to your exposed skin. If you wake up itchy, reapply. Of course, they'll always tell you to avoid stagnant standing water because that's where mosquitoes like to hang out. But when you're traveling, you rarely have that kind of control over your environment, especially during rainy season. It's a good prevention tip around your house, though. And today's pro traveler tip is about malaria. The truth is, no matter how careful you are, if mosquitoes are around, you're going to get bit. After more than 2 years on the African continent, I got malaria for the first time a few months ago, and I want to share some tips for how to recognize it. If you find yourself feeling unexplainably crummy or fatigued, even if the feeling goes away after a while, get tested for malaria. If you get chilled even briefly and the weather is hot,
Yep.
get tested for malaria. If you're achy or feverish, get tested for malaria. Just a note, even diarrhea can be a symptom of malaria, according to locals. Often, tests can be done very quickly at a lab or pharmacy, and you can always go to a doctor. Ask hotel staff where you should go. The test I took was a finger poke to get a couple drops of blood, and the results were available in 30 minutes. Also note that you can get a malaria home test kit at the pharmacy, and it might be wise to take a couple home with you. Well, you don't have to use drugs to get rid of malaria. The duration will be shorter if you do, but the drugs themselves are a bit hard on the body. That's what I was told. I can't be more specific because I don't know what symptoms might have been from the drugs versus what the malaria was causing. Don't panic if you do get malaria. Yes, you will feel like crap for a few days, like a bad flu, but it's quite survivable. However, if you're worried, have pre-existing health complications, or things get worse, go to the doctor. Thank you for joining me. Share this episode. You know someone who will find it useful and real Trina. We'll see you next week.